Hey everyone, Zach from the barbellphysio.com and performanceplusprogramming.com. Today we're talking about my 4 favorite exercises for thoracic spine mobility. That is your upper back mobility. If you struggle with upper back mobility, then your overhead lifts, whether that's barbell lifts or kettlebell lifts, as well as your gymnastic skills are gonna suffer. If you have neck pain, shoulder pain, or low back pain and you're stiff in this area, what you'll so often find is that the thoracic spine, when it's stiff, puts increased stress on those other areas of the body. So it is a vitally important area of mobility to get better. So we're gonna share our 4 favorite exercises for unlocking your thoracic spine mobility. Okay, exercise number 1, you're probably pretty familiar with. It's the one that almost everybody does when they're trying to improve their thoracic spine mobility, and that's that they lay on a foam roller so it's perpendicular to your spine, anywhere between lower ribs and the base of your neck. And they just put hands behind their head and they arch back and forth, trying to work on improving that thoracic spine extension. Here's the issue with it. Number 1, I think a lot of people do it wrong. And number 2, I wanna get a little bit more force through this movement pattern. So what most people do wrong is that they don't keep their abs braced. So as they go back into extension, they actually end up just arching their lower back and not getting sufficient enough force through the thoracic spine to actually make it move better. So keep your abs tight. I like to imagine that a little kid's gonna come smack me in the stomach or jump on my stomach, and just that little bit of bracing will make it much more effective. If you wanna take it up another notch though, we're gonna lift our hips up in the air and then grab something heavy overhead. So that could be a kettlebell, that could be a couch, it could be the bottom of my squat rack over here. And I'm gonna keep those abs tight as I then drop my hips down. And that's doing foam roller thoracic extensions with a little bit of over pressure. So you'll feel that be a lot more intense when you add in that little bit of extra load to lock the shoulders down as you drop the hips up and down. Okay, exercise number 2 is going to be the bench stretch. So I've got a box, you can use a bench, you can use a couch chair, but what I'm gonna do is put my elbows right on the edge of the box with my hands together. And I wanna really bias my upper back when I'm doing this rather than my shoulders. So what I like to think of doing is kind of having my upper back rounded a little bit in this top position. And then I imagine that somebody is grabbing my shirt and pulling me down to the ground. So my upper back goes from being rounded to extended with this exercise. So it'll look like this. Elbows on the edge of the box, rounded, drop down. So 2 notes for that stretch. Number 1, don't think of this as just a passive stretch where you're just relaxing down into the bottom position. I want you to think of pulling yourself down towards the ground. Really pull that chest down. The second thing is if you're doing this with a friend, have them come in and put their hands between your shoulder blades, and as long as it doesn't create any pain or discomfort, have them give you a little bit of extra pressure in that bottom position, and that will really help open up that thoracic mobility just a little bit more. Exercise number 3 is going to be quadruped rotations with a little bit of assistance. So I'm gonna grab a light resistance band, and I've got that tied to the up rack of a rig to about the same height as my hip would be if I'm in tall kneeling. And then what I'm gonna do is put my arm through that band and then twist around. So I'm kind of wearing it almost like it's a backpack on one shoulder. I've got my butt down on my heels, that band is straight to my side, and all I'm gonna do is put that hand with the band behind my head, and I'm gonna rotate up. And I'm gonna make sure I have enough tension on this band so that when I'm in this top position, the band is helping to pull me a little further forward. These are a great exercise for that upper back mobility as well as getting control. So I love to do one of those first 2 stretches, the bench stretch or foam rollers, and superset that with this so that we're building a little bit of strength in that with a little bit of assistance during the active thoracic rotations. Now our final exercise is gonna work mobility, but it's gonna be a little bit more intense from a strength perspective. So I've got a medicine ball, and we can obviously scale up or down the weight with our medicine ball. And I'm gonna drop down into the bottom of a squat, and I'm gonna hug that medicine ball. Then I'm gonna think of letting my upper back round and then arching my upper back. And what I want you to notice is the label of the ball. I'm trying to make that label look at the ground and then look up towards the sky as far as it can go. Now doing that in the squat is pretty intense. It's gonna require a decent amount of full body mobility, and it's gonna take a lot of upper back strength. If you need a scaled down version, then simply do it in sitting. So I'm gonna get my legs wide, I'm gonna hug the medicine ball again, I'm gonna get a little lean forward, and then just repeat the same motion in my upper back. This exercise is not only great from a mobility perspective, but like I said, great for strength. So if you're an athlete that always finds that when you're doing heavy squats, as that front squat gets heavy, you always find that your upper back kind of fails and rounds forward and you dump the bar out in front of you, then that is a great exercise to build up that capacity of those thoracic spine extensors to stay upright and fight against the weight of that barbell. So there you have my 4 favorite exercises for improving your upper back mobility. If you want a proven program that's been shown by thousands of athletes to work and help them really achieve their health and fitness goals, then head to performanceplusprogramming.com and check out our Thoracic Mobility Overhaul program.